part 3 of my WIP parade, and maybe this will be the final part. I'm hoping. I thought I had more. I still have plenty of WIPs to show you, but I thought that this drawer was also full of WIPs, but it's not. It's full of stash and kitted up projects and future starts. So I actually have a little less than I thought. Still a lot, so we'll see if we can fit it all in this this last video. We'll see. I'm gonna try. So to accomplish that, I'll need to move a little quickly, maybe quicker than I have. I don't know. Let's see. Let's get started. So this is Jeanette Douglas, Take Time to Collect. And this was a Stitch Mania start that I got to work on one day. And this is being stitched on 36 count earthen by Picture This Plus. And I only have this little, so here's the fabric, very pretty, and this is all I have done. Next I have Nikki pattern from Etsy, Darth Vader, and this is on a 28 count white even weave, and I have this nice little start, Stitch Mania, one day of stitching. Oh, this stuff's like it's not sitting upright. Okay, this is Nantucket Girls Sampler by Plum Street Samplers. This is a big piece. This is on 40 count Lakeside Linen Vintage Buttercream, and I'm doing this in DMC. It calls for a bunch of NPIs, and that was going to be real expensive. So I'm doing it in the DMC. Stitch Mania start, one day of stitching. There's where we got. It's going to use like this whole piece of fabric. So this was for Stitch Mania, but also this was the Royal Wedding Sal when Harry and Meghan got married. I think it was May 19th or May 18th. May 19th. I did write it on the back. So this was for Stitch Mania, but also for the Royal Wedding. It's a DMC kit. It's called Henry VIII. And it was fully kitted with all the floss. But I didn't want to stitch on the Aida that it came with because I don't like Aida, but also it was a stiff Aida, as the ones in kits tend to be. So I got a piece of 32 count white linen. And this was my one day of stitching. Oh! That's what I got. Alright, then we had Little House Needleworks. This pattern is called Star of Mine. It is from the Gift of Stitching magazine. And I'm doing this on a mystery, I believe it's a mystery linen. Mystery linen? Yep, it's I think it's a 32 count. It is a pretty, like, dusty blue, and one day of stitching on that. Brooks Books Little Women. I'm going to stitch all 4, but I started with Meg. There's all 4 of them, and I think well, I don't think, I know I'm counting this as one WIP, but I will do all 4. This is 28 count Monaco from Charles Craft. The color is called Tea Dye. This one actually sort of looks like something instead of just a blob. That was one day of stitching. This is a a seller on Etsy called Mrs. Pegati. This is Jane Eyre. And I'm stitching this on 36 count? 36 count Vesper from Picture This Plus, which is such a pretty color. Called for DMC. This is another pattern from Nikki Pattern on Etsy. It is a clone. It's called Clone. It's a Stormtrooper. 28 count white even weave. There's my exciting start on that. This is a pattern from the Gift of Stitching magazine. It is the Sampler Girl. It's called On the Moors with Emily Bronte. And this is on 28 count Irish linen from Charles Craft. One day of stitching on that. I'm never doing that Stitch Mania. Like, I don't think I'm ever doing Stitch Mania again. I gotta be honest. I'm absolutely never, ever, ever doing 50 starts. But I can't even foresee doing 30 starts or 31 starts or 15 starts or whatever. Like, no, never. Never again. Because a lot of these, you know, if I could get more than one day of stitching on these, they'd be a lot more exciting for you all. This is a pattern from Hardcore Stitchcore on Etsy. It's called Bless This Hive. And this one would be an easy finish once I can get back to it. It is this picture's a little distorted. It's actually more like long instead of like stretched out like this. This is a 28 count Charles Craft linen and it's called Oatmeal. I haven't looked at this since May, so I'm laughing because I couldn't remember what I had stitched. I stitched Scum and Villainy. That's awesome. Once I finish that, it's going on it's going on the wall. Another pattern from Nikki Pattern on Etsy. This is Boba Fett. And this is on a 28 count white even weave. And this is one day of stitching. There's more than one color in that. I think there's 3 colors in there. This is Little House Needleworks Giving Thanks. And it's on 36 count R&R linen in Winter Brew with the called for floss. And I have this done, this much done. This is I love this pattern. I can't wait to get back to it. This is Primitive Hair, Jane Eyre. I'm sorry I haven't been reading the text on all of these. This one says, I am no bird and no net ensnares me. I am a free human being with an independent will. I love Jane Eyre. I love how, like, fierce she is. Like, not afraid to speak her mind. And I love the Primitive Hair. I love everything she does. This is Nikki's Creation linen, which I adore. It's a 32 count and it's called Old England. It's just like super dirty and grungy. I love it. Let me see if that's probably pretty true. But when I zoom in, I think it's gonna lighten. There's the little start I have on that. One day. I'm almost I'm almost through with the Stitch Mania stuff, where it's all like the one day. Like we're almost to the end, guys. This is You and I and Friends Prairie House. This is a see how little this is? So this picture's super tiny. So even zoomed in, I'm not sure how much you're gonna be able to see. Lori at Mischievous Stitches has stitched and finished this if you want to like see like nice close up. This was a kit, so it's on the called for linen, which I think is like just a 32 count. It looks like maybe like a beige from Weeks Dye Works. It's just a nice neutral 32 count. This is what I've got. One day of stitching on that. And then I've got Alpine Garden. No, why I don't even know where. Did I make that up? Where did I come up with that? This is Satsuma Street. I think you know where I think I got Alpine from? So this is from a cross stitch crazy magazine. And in the magazine, it's called Run to the Hills by designer Jody Rice, who is Satsuma Street. You can now get this on her Etsy, and I think she's renamed it to something like Alpine, something Alpine. This is, it's cut off. The other little bit of it is over there. This is on a mystery fabric. I think it's a, can't see. I think it's a 28 count even weave, or actually I think it might be a Jobelin, and it's just with the called for DMCs. It's going to be really bright and colorful. One day of stitching on that, and I think that concludes our Stitch Mania. Nope, this is Stitch Mania 2. This is my last Stitch Mania. So this is Plum Street Samplers, the Queen's Sampler, Elizabeth I. The end crowneth the work. And I'm stitching this with silks on a 36 count Edinburgh linen in the color Platinum. And this is what I have done on that. One day of stitching. Okay. Now we can get into some more exciting stuff. This is my Stitch Along. So this will actually be finished probably soon. So it won't be a WIP for long. This is, they just told you pick 4 colors and pick whatever fabric and go for it. So I did. The pattern has now been, the final pattern has been revealed. It will say home is where the, and then choose your own adventure. They give you like 6 or 7 designs that they've come up with, or you can totally do your own. It's a play on home is where the heart is. And I have not decided what I will do with this one yet, but because I chose these funky colors, I'm definitely going to do just some text, like home is where the, and then something, like my first thought was home is where the pants aren't. They included like some like portraits of faces and things, and that just won't work on this fabric and with these colors. So I'll probably just keep it simple text. Okay, so now all I have left for WIPs is my holiday WIPs. So what I have in here is Halloween / fall / autumn / Thanksgiving, and then Christmas / winter. So these WIPs will be more in that vein. Actually, before I do that, this is this WIP is not in that vein. This is what I'm working on right now. This is called Tiffany. It's by an Etsy seller called Nonstop Stitch. And I'm stitching this right now for my sister for Christmas. And I have a lot to go, but a lot done. And you guys haven't seen this. It'll be on my next Flosstube. I finished this page and done all the back stitching on it. It calls for a ton of back stitching, so I didn't want to wait and do it all at the end. So I'm doing it as I finish the page. I'm very happy with how this is coming along. Back stitching is a pain on this. I'm not gonna lie. It's not, it doesn't like line up with the holes. Like it's more like, it's just all over and it's not like perfect. I don't know how to say what I'm trying to say. It's not like, oh, you know, you go up 2 boxes and go into this hole. The way she's got the back stitching, it's where there isn't a hole. So you can either choose to make a hole or you can fudge it a little. So, but it looks good. I'm happy with it. But it's certainly a lesson in patience. Okay, now holiday WIPs. All right. So first up, let's see what we pull in random order. This is Witch's Hollow by the Primitive Needle. This is a working copy. I have the real one here somewhere, but this is my working copy. So it's just it's a little light. The copied a little light. So it may be kind of hard to see. It's a really big piece. I'm doing this on Picture This Plus Murky with all of the called for colors. She stitched it on, I think it's 40 Count Weeks Dye Works in Vintage Pear. So it's just like a nice neutral, and I wanted to do something a little more funky. So mine is on 40 Count Picture This Plus Murky, which is, you know, looks like this. And this is the stitching I've got done on this, and I really want to get back to it. I really want to, I do want to work on this. I want to get it done. And I said, I want to hang it up all year round, not just at Halloween. I'm loving that. I'm loving how that's coming along. This is a pattern from Pain Free Crafts. This is called Never Say Die. It's basically a Haid, but it's not sold by Haid. So, but it's like the size and effort of a Haid. And this is what I have on this. That's what we would call a journey piece. Won't be done anytime soon. And then here is my actual Heaven and Earth Designs Haid. This is Mini Milagros La Luna by Jasmine Beckett Griffith. And I picked this, I wanted to do a Jasmine Beckett Griffith. I love her, but I wanted a small one, and this was less outrageous than other Haids. It's only 261 by 325. That is doable. That's totally doable. It's full coverage, but it's doable. So this is my little start on that. Tiny little stitches. This is, I think this is a 28 count, and I'm doing it over 1. Yeah, this is a 28 count over 1. So it's super teeny tiny. Teeny tiny. Okay. This is Good Morning Maui on Etsy. This is Hocus Pocus. I started this this past October. This is a I'm doing the called for DMC, but this is fabric I dyed myself for the Harry Potter Sal by Armada Designs that I abandoned. So I actually haven't unpicked this yet where it said class schedule. I still have to rip that out. But here's where I got Winnie. I love this fabric. I'm also using it on another pattern. I salvaged that piece for other projects, so I'll show you that in a second when I get to it. This is Plum Street Samplers Jack's Bash. I did not work on this for Darktober. I couldn't quite make it. It's on 36 count Edinburgh linen in platinum with all the called for flosses. And I didn't work on this year, but this is what I got done last year in October, which was a lot actually. Look how much I got done. I really did want to get back to this. I just couldn't like fit it in my plans. So I made that sacrifice. This is Kaniki's Prims and Whims. This is called Raven Moon Nevermore. And I started this for the EAP Sal from the group that must not be named. I wonder how that group's doing. This is on 32 count Weeks Dye Works. I think this is straw. Sure looks like it, doesn't it? But I bought it from there's this yarn store that sells a bunch of cross stitch stuff too in Boulder. She sells a lot of like Prim cross stitch. Actually, she's got an amazing selection. But she's been closed for a few months now. She's supposed to reopen, but she hasn't yet. Anyway, you don't care about that. The point is she has a lot of linen, but it's not labeled. Like she buys linen from like Weeks or whoever. She buys like huge yardage and then just cuts it for you, but it's like it's not really labeled well. So I think this is Weeks Dye Works straw, but she didn't have it labeled. Here's where I'm at on that with DMC. Called for DMC. That is the beak. That's this bird's beak. I really like this linen, like a lot. This is 4 and 20 Blackbirds by Rosewood Manors. Manor. I don't know why I added an S to that. This is this was a Stitch Mania start, so I only got 1 day of stitching on this. This was 32 count cream linen from Witchelt. And here is, I don't know which way this goes. I think it goes this way. That's all I got on that. This is Stacy Nash Primitives Blackwater Hollow Sampler. And this is on, this is a Lakeside Linen. I believe it's 36 count and it's vintage Maritime White, which has subtle, beautiful variegation, but probably just looks like kind of one color on the screen. That's what I have done on that. This is Pineberry Lane Autumn on Marigold Lane. Really cute. Not a ton of work left on that. If I can just, you know, get back to it. It's on 36 count vintage light exemplar from Lakeside Linens. And that's what I have done on that. It's very, very pretty. This is Blackbird Designs Away We Ride. And this is on 36 count R&R linen in the Plum Street blend with the called for flosses. This is really cool linen. It's like kind of greenish beige. It's kind of like straw, but like a hint of green. I do like it a lot. And I've got some of the house going on that one. And, oh, We're almost at 25 minutes. I don't know that we're going to be able to get through all of these. I wish I could. I really don't want to do a part 4, but... Barbara Anna Designs Rampant Cats Sampler. This is a 32 count Jobelin. It was white. I dyed it myself using the Priscilla and Chelsea tea and coffee dye method. And this one took a lot more than the others. It came out darker, but I'm okay with that. And this is called for DMC. No fancy floss. Another Barbara Anna. This is Hocus Pocus. And this is, it calls for Valdani, but I'm just using random fancy flosses from my collection. This is a 36 count Lakeside Linen. I believe it's vintage light exemplar, but that is a guess because it was unlabeled. And I only need like another day or two and I could finish this up. Don't have much left on that. This is Samplers and Stories on Etsy. This is the Herbal Grimoire. It's very, very nice. This is on an ex-Jude design linen. It's a 40 count. It's called Dark Sand. It's similar to Picture This Plus Ale. And this was 1 or 2 days of stitching, I think. I was traveling. I was in Kansas City trying to work on that, so I didn't have much stitching time. This is the Little Stitcher on Etsy. This is called the Addams Family. Love it. Called for DMC. I'm doing this on... This linen it's R&R, and it's escaping me right now. I know it's on the tip of my tongue. I think it came out this summer, and I don't know why I can't think of what it's called right now. But that's what I got on that. That was 1 day of stitching, I think. 1 or 2 days, maybe. This is the Primitive Needle Black Sky. This was my unicorn pattern. But not anymore because I got it now. This is on ex-Jude Design fabric. It is called Cinnamon Roll. It was the fabric of the month in September. And it's a 36 count. It's an awesome fabric. And that's where I'm at. So this is my repurposed linen from the Harry Potter Sal. This pattern is by Witchy Stitcher on Etsy. It's a Ouija board. And I only got a day or two on this. God, look at that fabric. It's awesome. That's all I've got. Sorry. This is the Primitive Hair Lizzie Borden. And this is on a 28 count Monaco that I dyed myself with the called for DMCs. This always tries to wash out. It's got like a gold brown, but it always tries to kind of wash out when I show it to you guys. And this is Rosewood Manor Autumn Quakers with the called for Valdani floss pack, and it's on Picture This Plus 28 count doubloon, which I believe is also the called for fabric. I haven't worked on this in about a year. It didn't make it into my Darktober plans. Okay, now we're into the Christmas/winter Let's finish this strong. Let's see if we can knock this out. I think if I can get this to 40 minutes, I can get it to upload. This is Dimensions Gold Collection Aurora Cabin. And I think this is like 1 or 2 days of stitching. 2 days maybe. It's a tree. We got a tree, folks. This is Tiny Modernist Santa's House, Sal. She just released the last part. I printed it. I just didn't put it with here. This is a hand-dyed 28 count Monaco that I tea and coffee dyed. And this is where I'm at on that. Very nice. Very pretty. This is my Mirabilia Snow Queen, which I'm going to work on every time it snows. We may get snow later this week, so I might get this back out. Using all the called for floss. I'm doing this on hand dyed by Stephanie, 32 count Polywog Princess, and I love this fabric, and I tell you that every time, but I just love it so much. It's so pretty. It's like purples and greens. It's just gorgeous. That's where I'm at on that one. Always a joy to get back to that one. This is Brenda Gervais Heap on the Wood. This will also be featured in my next Flosstube because this was my WIP before my current one. This is on, it's called for colors. Picture This Plus 32 count Ren. And I was sad to put this up, but I needed to work on my sister's present. So here's where I'm at on this. I really love it. I love it so much. Look at that lady without hair. I didn't have the DMC. It calls for 610. I didn't have it, weirdly enough. It's on my shopping list. This is Primitive Hair freebies that she has. She has all of the pagan holidays. The next one up is Yule on December, I think it's December 22nd. This will be the next one. I am stitching those as the solstices and the holidays come around. This is on a 32 count linen that I tea and coffee dyed with the Priscilla and Chelsea method. And these are the 2 I've completed so far. I am counting this as a WIP overall. Like, even though I'm getting these mini finishes, it's one WIP. If that makes any sense. I hope it makes sense. Like off frame, huh? Okay, Blackbird Designs Feliz Navidad. A lot of you have been stitching this one lately. This is with all the called for weeks. It calls for like a trillion of them. It's on 32 count Legacy by Picture This Plus. I haven't worked on this in a year. And that was like 1 day of stitching when I did work on it a year ago. This is Primitive Hair Christmas at Orchard House. I'm doing this on 32 count Picture This Plus Relic with the called for DMCs. And I love this fabric, Relic. I love it. So these were, I did these in December last year for my 12 Starts of Christmas. So that's why a lot of these only have like 1 day of stitching on them. This is the Little Stitcher on Etsy Magic Christmas Eve. Love it. This is also 32 count Picture This Plus Relic with the called for floss. So if I hadn't gotten sidetracked with stitching that present for my sister, I would be stitching all of these patterns right now, honestly. I'm hoping to finish up my sister's cross stitch so that I can do some Christmas stitching before Christmas. This is Rosewood Manor Winter Quakers. And this is on 28 count hand dyed by Stephanie fabric called Snow Drifts, which is just beautiful, and it's with the called for Valdanis. That's actually showing up pretty good. It's a nice mottled, really pale periwinkle. Really pretty. Oh, I think we're gonna finish in 40, guys, under 40. Here we go. Stacy Nash Primitives Christmas at Hollyberry Farm. This one has been calling to me and calling to me. I wanted to work on it. I just can't fit it into my rotation. It has really been calling my name. I'm doing this on called for colors. It's 36 count vintage country mocha. That's the one that's printed on. And this is, so like one side's solid and then one side's printed. And that's where I'm at on that. Things are like falling over. I'm on the struggle bus. Okay, this is a Mill Hill Renaissance Santa. I've done the other two in this series. This is Florence Santa. I've done Venice and Genoa. I don't have much left on that. And then all the beading, of course. Plum Street Samplers, Mary 2. This is on R&R linen 36 count winter brew with all the called for flosses. And this was a 12 Starts of Christmas, so I just had 1 day of stitching on this one. Oh, this is pathetic. That's all I got. That's just sad. This is Brenda Gervais Christmas at Winterberry Cabin. This is, you guys love this one. It's real popular. It's very pretty. This is on a 36 count vintage light exemplar from Lakeside Linens with the called for flosses. And I only got to stitch on this for 1 day as well. Not only did I only get to stitch on these for 1 day, but it was also like, I think we were on vacation. So it wasn't like 1 day at my house where I could devote 2 or 3 hours. It was like 30 minutes and we had stuff to do. This is Country Cottage Needleworks Vintage Christmas. This is so cute. So cute. This is on 32 count Witchelt, which is so stiff. Like you can see, like look at this linen, guys. It makes noises. It's so stiff. Called for colors, 1 day start. You know how that goes. Little House Needleworks, North Wind. I feel like this is so close to a finish. This is on 32 count Winter Sky, which I think is an R&R linens, and it's with the called for flosses, and I've got a lot done on this one. Cutting it close on that margin there, huh? All right, 2 more. Cottage Garden Peace on Earth. This is a Sal hosted by Christine from Stitch All the Things and Sarah Elliott from Stitchology. And I'm doing this on a mystery Witchelt. And I got a lot done on it. I don't have that much left. The house and the bird, mostly. All right, and last but not least, the Primitive Hair Christmas Tree. This is on 36 count Picture This Plus Mellow with the called for flosses. And it was another of those sad little 1 day starts. But it's gonna be real cute. All right, guys, that's it. 97 WIPs. Hopefully that number, we're going to get it down. We're going to get it down in 2019. We're going to chip away at it. Wish me luck. If you have watched all 3 parts, bravo. Round of applause for you. If you didn't watch all 3 parts, that's cool too. My feelings aren't hurt. All right, that's all I got. I'm out of here. Bye.